They all ran, but Lori slowly walked out of the room. Luna and Lenny were barricading their door as they went into their bedroom. Luna continued barricading the bedroom when Luann was trying to open the window to escape, but the window was jammed. She tried asking Luna to see if she could get anything to unjam it, but she got no response from Luna. Luann was confused, but she had thoughts rushing into her head, but that's when the thoughts all stopped when she turned to look back at Luna and find that she was actually stabbed to death. So, earlier on, Lori walked towards Luna and Luann's bedroom door and found Luna's guitar. She impaled it through the door, but during the process, she impaled the guitar through the door and in through the back of Luna's head. That then killed Luna. Luann gasped in horror as Lori opened the door with Luna still stuck onto the door. She walks slowly to Luann as Luann still tries to pry the window open, but then she was caught by her neck. Luann thought she could distract Lori with a joke, but it never worked as she impaled Mr. Coconuts, Luann's ventriloquist dummy. She impaled Mr. Coconuts' head inside her neck, technically killing her in a matter of seconds. Her attention was then caught off guard when Lynn hit her with a hockey stick. She thought that would do the job, but instead Lori fell flat but turned her attention back to Lynn. Lori then quickly stood up and then that forced Lynn to try take another blow, but instead Lori caught the hockey stick and then stabbed Lynn with it. But instead Lori wanted Lynn to feel what it was like to be dragged around like a rag doll every time by an athlete. So Lori picked up the stick while Lynn was still dangling around, stabbed on it, and wriggles her around across the walls and the roofs. She then stabs it through the vents where she found Lucy. Lucy's final words were, "Go to hell," as Lori wanted Lucy to experience what it finally felt like to be dead. She then threw that hockey stick while Lucy and Lynn were still kabobbed to it, but then the stick then went to the direction of Lana. Lana was hiding outside in the bushes, but it was pretty much not a good idea as she was in that position, because after that Lana joined Lynn and Lucy onto the hockey stick kebab. Lori then turned around to Lola as Lola was frozen in fear. She quickly tried to run away, but as Lori was chasing after Lola, Lori was literally stomping onto the floor, which was destabilizing Lola's balance, and with that she fell onto the floor, banging her head. She tried picking herself up, but it was already too late, as after Lori closed in on her, Lori stood on Lola's back, but this done a very, very horrifying amount of damage to Lola's entire body. As that happened, Lola vomited her insides as she died. Lori looked into Lola's eyes, asking her, "How pretty does she look like now?" She was then shot by Lisa, as Lisa was also another one who attempted to fight back against Lori. She was firing syringes at Lori, and Lisa thought this was going to buy her some time, thinking if she was going to be able to save Lori from whatever being was trapped inside Lori, possessing her. So Lisa thought that she injected a shot Lori with a chemical called midazolam, which would make a person drowsy, so technically a tranquilizer dart. What she realized this after Lori got up, took the syringe from her body and threw it back to Lisa. This impaled her right eye, and as Lisa was about to feel poisoned, this was when she realized it wasn't midazolam that she made, it was actually liquid polonium. If you know another creepypasta called Suicide Mouse AVI, you'll know that liquid polonium is what Mickey uses on the Wednesday Infidelity mod, where he throws syringes against boyfriend. Now, this killed Lisa after. So Lisa fired a bunch of syringes on to several parts of Lori's body, and as Lori picked herself up, she grabbed each and every one of those syringes and threw them against Lisa. This killed Lisa in seconds. Then afterwards, she looked at Lily, who was still asleep in her crib. Lori was singing a lullaby, looking at her cute finger paintings, and she thought that something was missing. She noticed that there was no red, and well, you're really gonna find out what happened next after that. Lori picked up a paintbrush, turned it backwards, and that was Lily. And Lori was finally alone, at least until Rita saw everything. Rita thought if that was really Lori. Lori answered and said it was definitely Lori, except with a new ambition, a new intention to live, a new purpose to reshape the world. That was the last thing Rita saw before her vision went dark and all she could see were glowing eyes and a wicked smile. So now this goes over to a next scene. So before any of that happened, Lincoln was out on a trip to camp, him and Clyde. And as they returned, they had to carpool because Lincoln became paranoid, thinking that leaving Lori alone with the family was such a good idea. But his paranoia was actually proven correct, because as it took a while for anybody to come to pick Lincoln and Clyde up, Lincoln felt suspicious, so he and Clyde went to go carpooling. They dropped Lincoln and Clyde off to Franklin Avenue. Clyde ran quickly to his house to see if anybody was still there. Lincoln did the same thing to his house, but as he ran and went to his house, he noticed the whole neighborhood was quiet. Even his neighbor, Mr. Grouse, who usually makes rants about the Louds and their impeccable nuisance. Lincoln opened the door, but his hands were shaking. And as that happened, all he saw was Lori facing the opposite direction on her phone, acting like nothing was happening. But her face said otherwise. She was twitching, She wasn't even on anything on the phone, it was just blank. It was all static. That was when Lori turned around and revealed to Lincoln her true self. She walked closer to Lincoln. Lincoln was confused and scared as he then saw blood all over the room. He tried leaving, but then he was stopped when Lori threw something at Lincoln. It was as if it was like a piece of her body that she threw at Lincoln. Lori thought she could make one last blow on Lincoln, but then it was stopped when Clyde saved Lincoln with a dodgeball and shot a hole through Lori. Clyde then aided Lincoln after Lori disappeared, and to give Lincoln shocking news that his dads have also died. That's when Lincoln realized this was only just the beginning. And that was the lore to the Loudson.